What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all so you get notified as soon as new content drops on the channel. So recently, there's been a lot of talk about a lot of different subjects, and this is the one I'm addressing today is going to be about Claressa Shields. Now, Claressa Shields, for quite a while now, I can remember, I think it would have been a few years back, where Claressa Shields was sort of boldly going on about her greatness. And as you all know, she's one of those personalities. She thinks she's the best ever, self-proclaimed GWOAT. She feels she's the greatest woman of all time. I, for one, think that she's definitely in the argument that with the women, there's not so much depth. So, I think my best one, or one of my favorite women I've seen many years ago, is Lucia Rijker. I thought Lucia Rijker was exceptional, very good fighter. And I think Ann Wolf as well, and Layla Ali. There's been a few there, but it's just few names that sort of stick out. But yeah, really does believe her own hype. She really does feel that she's just the best thing ever, the best one to ever lace up the gloves. And she's got the accomplishments to the point where, yes, I understand she can talk about these things, because I think she's at least 4 division world champion. She's undefeated in those divisions. She's been undisputed in those divisions, and if not all of them, at least some of those divisions she's been undisputed. So she's picked up all the hardware she could. She's pretty much, accomplishments wise, she's pretty much accomplished all that a boxer could hope to accomplish in their career. And I think the only thing that she's missing, and it's primarily because of her being a woman, and the depth of talent isn't the same as it is in the men's. Like, there's probably more men, to a factor of, like, there's probably, like, I don't know, 10 times more men boxers or male boxers than there are female boxers, which means when you box as a female, now what we tend to see is, okay, females who come in and they're very low down, they're at the bottom of the spectrum, and they're not going to make it. But then you see other girls who may come from good Olympic background, like a lot of the signings, Taylor, Jonas, some of these others, Alicia Baumgardner, another good fighter. There's a lot of them, more than we can name. Maya, and there's loads of these boxers. But when you compare it to the men's game, especially when you get to the heavier divisions, like where Shields campaign, sort of middle, super middle, it's very thin on the ground. There's not really many girls that you can fight. So you go in there and turn pro as a woman in those sort of divisions, you're going to get your opportunity very, very early in your career, because there's really not that much of a depth of talent. And I think that's the problem that Shields has, is that it's not that she's not good. She's a very good fighter, but she's been talking about the men lately. And I remember even a few years back where she said, well, they might have to let me start fighting the men because I'm going to beat all the women. And she practically has beaten all the women. And now the latest thing is she's talking about fighting Keith Thurman and saying that she can beat him and blah, blah, blah. And for me, I say on that factor, she needs to definitely stay in her lane. She needs to sort of forget about fighting men, fighting the guys, because at the end of the day, men and women, we're designed differently. There's men's and women's events in all sorts of disciplines. When it comes to boxing, when it comes to mixed martial arts, UFC, you've got men's and you've got women's. When it comes to athletics, there's male sprinters, there's female sprinters. There's always that division, and that division exists for a reason, because men are stronger, they're going to be quicker, and that's just a natural thing. That's just the way that we're made. That's why men and women don't mix in sports, because it would be completely unfair. And I think the average man would probably beat her up and probably knock her spark out. So to be talking about a guy like Keith Thurman, I can understand what she's doing, and I understand it to a degree, because she'll be thinking, well, Keith Thurman, he's one of those guys, he's at the end of his career, he's on the decline, he's not looking so good in his fights when he's fighting against men. I'm the greatest woman of all time. So therefore, if I took him on, I'll take him on and I'll beat him. I'll outbox him. I'll beat him over 12 rounds or 10 rounds. But the reality is you won't, because, you know, who he's been fighting have been men, strong guys, bigger guys, guys that are stronger than you, faster than you. And the guys he's fought, even the sort of lower down level of those guys, the Barrios and guys like that. Guys like that would bash her to pieces. They'd batter her because, not because they're like better than her or they're more skilled or whatever. In some cases that might be the case, but primarily because they're gonna punch a lot harder than the women that she's been fighting, and you know they're gonna hurt her, and she just won't be able to deal with full-blooded, full-blown shots from a man. She just won't be able to deal with that. That's why, you know, it's the same in tennis. Even Serena Williams, she's a strong woman, very powerful in the game of tennis, but even she admitted, you know, she's played guys like Murray and other men, and she's played even men that are like ranked 200 in the world of tennis, and she's lost to these guys, and she loses to these guys, you know, all day long, and they're like ranked 200 as men. And it just shows that, okay, you can be a big, strong, powerful woman, but it's not the same as a man. The man's going to have that natural strength advantage over you. And in boxing, it's extremely dangerous sport where you're actually getting punched in the face, you're getting punched in your body, in your gut, in your belly, in your ribs, and you're going to get hurt, and she'd get utterly destroyed. So for me, I'm saying to her, I think she really needs to just stay in her lane. Forget about fighting the men. Maybe have a move around with the men. I've seen her sparring with men and stuff. Okay, fair enough. But when it comes to like 8 to 10 ounce gloves in a boxing ring, getting hit full-blooded shots by a man, she will not be able to deal with it, and she'll get ruined by it. Because you think about it, as great as she says she is and everything, and yeah, in our era, she's definitely a great fighter. But one thing she doesn't have is punching power. You know, I think she's only knocked out about 2 of her opponents. And you think to yourself, well, if you're not knocking the women out, if you're not hurting the women, if you're not sort of sparking women out, then you're not going to have any effect against a big, strong man. It's like a Keith Thurman, former world champion, former unified world champion. So for me, I think it's a silly idea, and she definitely needs to forget about it. She needs to just stay with the women. If you're getting fed up of women's boxing, maybe you go into the world of MMA and challenge yourself that way. Fight in a discipline where you don't know, and you know, try to learn that and try to conquer that. That's what I would say, you know. But stay away from the men, because you're just going to get beaten up. And, you know, it would be a travesty if that were to happen. I would not want to see that happen, not at all. I think she's great in what she does, but she's got to stick to what she does. Leave the guys alone. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Claressa Shields, Keith Thurman. I think it all needs to just come to a head. It all needs to stop. And, you know, we say no more about it, because she would get seriously hurt, and I do not want to see that. You know, stay in your lane. Anyway, that's my thoughts, and until next time, this is MKO Pugilism, over and out.